Welcome to the inaugural PHMC 101. I'm Sherry Garrett, and I serve as the SHPO's Administrative Officer. The State Historic Preservation Office, also known as SHPO, is kicking off this educational series during the month of May because May is National Historic Preservation Month. This overview of the SHPO's work will include highlights from our 2022 annual report. You can read the full annual report online, and we'll have a link to the report in this chat. Please note this presentation is being recorded, so we will have time at the end of our presentation to answer questions. Feel free to add your questions anytime to the chat, and we'll revisit them after the presentation is over. Each state and U.S. territory has a state historic preservation office. Pennsylvania's SHPO works to preserve, rehabilitate, and encourage the continued use and appreciation for Pennsylvania's historic places. Investment in our historic places stimulates economic growth, community pride, helps to revitalize communities, and supports heritage tourism. SHPO administers several federal historic preservation programs created by the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966. We also manage state historic preservation programs authorized by the Pennsylvania History Code. SHPO currently has 27 staff members working across four main divisions and sections: preservation incentives, preservation services, environmental review, and our mapping assistance resources survey section. However, our programs and processes are all interconnected. The PHMC's Executive Director, Andrea Lowry, serves as Pennsylvania's State Historic Preservation Officer. This role is further defined in the National Historic Preservation Act. The SHPO's director, Andrea McDonald, serves as the Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer and oversees the day-to-day operations of SHPO. SHPO work is supported and guided by a governor-approved 15-member board. Pennsylvania's Historic Preservation Board serves as an advisory body to the PHMC and meets 3 times a year to review National Register nominations, provide advice on Pennsylvania's statewide historic preservation plan, and share local knowledge and expertise regarding preservation matters. Now we will dive a little deeper into each of our programs and introduce you to several SHPO staff.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea MacDonald, Director of the State Historic Preservation Office. As Deputy SHPO, it is my role to support our staff by providing the resources, opportunities for professional development, and the inspiration needed so staff may successfully fulfill our collective mission, program goals, and our responsibilities. In addition to many other tasks, Sherry and Shelby have a special role in completing and submitting our annual grant application to the National Park Service. The U.S. Congress's Historic Preservation Fund, managed by the National Park Service, financially supports work of all state historic preservation offices. This annual grant is matched with the PHMC's General Government Operations Fund. PA SHPO's work is also financially supported through partnerships with other agencies, including the Federal Highway Administration and PennDOT. PA SHPO also receives Federal Office of Surface Mining funding passed through the Department of Environmental Protection. This map represents the many ways and many places PA SHPO's 27 staff members from our 3 offices in Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, and Fort Washington make connections between people, place, and community. In any given year, it is common for SHPO staff to participate in hundreds of events throughout Pennsylvania. In 2022, SHPO staff played a part in nearly 500 in-person and virtual engagements. The benefit of PA SHPO's historic preservation programs can be seen throughout the Commonwealth. These programs help Pennsylvanians realize preservation outcomes for the places that are important to them through a variety of activities that support, commemorate, advise, record, and educate. Every day, PA SHPO uses its resources to educate Pennsylvanians about the Commonwealth's vast collection of historic and archaeological resources. And we encourage the public and our partners to value these historic places. Our programs enable them to preserve these places important to our communities that tell local, state, and national stories. In 2022, we interacted with nearly 30,000 people through our outreach efforts, documented over 14,000 new historic and archaeological resources, reviewed over 8,000 federal and state project submissions, and in addition to other accomplishments that you will hear from our program staff. Hashtag preservation happens here is the idea that great preservation activities are happening every day across Pennsylvania. These activities, whether they may or may not be thought of as historic preservation, nevertheless need to be identified, shared, and celebrated. The statewide historic preservation planning process gathered brilliant ideas uh, about how we can improve the future of the Commonwealth's historic places from thousands of Pennsylvanians, and the resulting plan is a means to achieving that goal. The full plan is on the PHMC's website, and you can find the link in the chat. PA SHPO's Community Initiative Awards recognize organizations, municipalities, and agencies and individuals who work embodies the spirit of hashtag preservation happens here. For example, in 2021, the Friends of Fort Halifax Park received an award for 2 important preservation and discovery efforts. They supported Juniata College's Archaeological Field School, which uncovered the location of historic Fort Halifax, and they advocated for the preservation of the park's 19th century farmhouse and barn. And in 2019, a Community Initiative Award was presented to the owner of Muhammad Ali's training camp in Deer Lake. The current owner has worked for years preserving the camp to honor the legacy of the heavyweight champ, where Ali prepared for some of his most famous fights.
Hi, I'm Shelby Splain, and I am the PA SHPO's Education and Special Initiatives Coordinator. My job involves a wide variety of education and outreach tasks, such as publishing our weekly blog and monthly newsletters, assisting with our webinars, workshops, presentations, and exhibit booths, developing educational and annual reporting materials, and leading the development of the statewide Historic Preservation Plan every 5 years. Education and outreach are core components of PA SHPO's work. All SHPO divisions and sections provide public outreach, education, training, and technical assistance to our many constituents. The easiest way for you to interact with our education programs is to check out our weekly blog and sign up for our monthly newsletters. Simply go to pahistoricpreservation.com to see our regular posts, and you can sign up for our newsletters right there through the blog. Coming up over the next several months, we'll be kicking off our efforts for the next statewide historic preservation plan. Watch for opportunities to take our survey and attend an information session to share your thoughts about where preservation in Pennsylvania needs to go over the next 10 years.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Rara, and I serve as the Division Manager for Preservation Services. The Preservation Services Division manages the National Register of Historic Places, administers the Certified Local Government, or CLG, program, and assists municipalities and organizations with community preservation planning efforts. Our division also performs administrative and secretarial functions for the State Historic Preservation Board. Division staff and preservation services includes our Western Region Coordinator, Bill Callahan, Central Region Coordinator, Frank Grumbine, and Eastern Region Coordinator, Megan McNish, our National Register Coordinator, Ben Harvey, and our 2 National Register reviewers, Pamela Riley and Marissa Barrett.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ben Harvey, and I'm the National Register Coordinator for the SHPO. The National Register of Historic Places is the official list of the nation's places that are worthy of preservation. It is a federal program administered by the PA in partnership with the National Park Service. Pennsylvanians list their properties in the National Register for many different reasons. For some, listing brings opportunities for funding. For others, inclusion in the National Register provides opportunities for recognizing the places that are important to them. We assist dozens of communities, municipalities, and property owners with the listing process each year. Because listing unlocks opportunities for preservation, the program is often used in conjunction with other state and federal programs. As part of PHMC's commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, the PA SHPO routinely identifies older and historic places that can benefit from listing in the National Register and pursues those nominations. If you have any questions about the National Register process in Pennsylvania, please reach out to me.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan McNish. I'm the Eastern Region Community Preservation Coordinator for the SHPO. The SHPO's 3 community preservation coordinators offer technical assistance, advice, and educational programs to help municipalities manage and foster historic preservation programs at the local level. The coordinators regularly help municipalities and organizations navigate state and federal historic preservation programs, promote community revitalization and economic development, and investigate options for preserving key historic properties. PHMC is responsible for certifying local historic districts under the Historic Districts Act. And SHPO also helps municipalities develop ordinances and preservation plans under the Municipalities Planning Code. We are always available as resources for local historic preservation boards and historical commissions.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Frank Grumbine, and I'm the Central Region Community Preservation Coordinator at the SHPO. Local governments can invigorate their historic preservation activities by participating in the Certified Local Government Program, otherwise known as the CLG program. Enabled by a 1980 amendment to the National Historic Preservation Act, this National Park Service program gives municipalities the opportunity to strengthen local historic preservation activities through exclusive funding incentives and enhanced technical assistance. In Pennsylvania, the CLG program is administered by the PA SHPO. To be certified, local governments agree to enact historic preservation ordinances and our zoning and participate in the process of nominating and reviewing properties in their municipality for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. CLGs also agree to maintain and update information on historic resources in their communities and to provide training for local historic district review boards and or historic preservation commissions. One of the benefits to becoming a CLG is financial. Federal law requires that PA SHPO set aside at least 10% of its historic preservation fund allocation for distribution to CLGs. In Pennsylvania, designated CLG municipalities can apply for this federal funding through an annual competitive matching grant program.
If you are contacted about preservation issues in the community you live or work in, please feel free to pass along the contact information for our preservation coordinators. They are excellent at making connections, facilitating conversations, and answering preservation questions of all kinds. If you find new and exciting information about an historic site that you visit or work at in the Commonwealth, please pass that information along to us. Many of our PHMC-owned sites are also listed in the National Register, and we like to keep our records up to date. If you have questions about your site and whether or not it's listed, please reach out to the National Register staff.
Hi again. This is Shelby Splain. In addition to being the SHPO's Education and Special Initiatives Coordinator, I am also currently the Acting Division Manager for the Preservation Incentives Division. This PA SHPO division administers the Keystone Historic Preservation Grant Program, the Historic Property Inspection Program, the Pennsylvania Historical Marker Program, and assist applicants applying for the Federal Historic Tax Credit and the State Historic Preservation Tax Credit programs. Division staff include Karen Arnold, April France, Sean Massey, and Allie Davis.
Hi, I'm Karen Arnold, and I manage the Keystone Historic Preservation Grant Program. The Commonwealth established this program in 1994 under the Keystone Recreation, Park, and Conservation Fund. The purpose is to support projects that identify, preserve, promote, and protect historic properties of Pennsylvania for both the benefit of the public and the revitalization of communities. We offer grants in two categories, planning and construction. Both grants are available to nonprofit organizations and local governments as a reimbursable matching grant to assist them with their preservation goals. Planning grants provide funding ranging from $5,000 to $25,000 to support planning and development work at historic properties that are listed in or eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. Planning grants support work in four broad categories: cultural resource surveys, National Register nominations, planning and project development and archaeology. Unfortunately, these grants may not be used for mitigation activities mandated as part of the PA SHPO's compliance process. The Keystone Historic Preservation Construction Grants are one of the few dedicated funding sources available to support brick and mortar historic preservation projects in Pennsylvania. Construction grants provide funding from $5,000 to $100,000 for capital improvement projects at historic sites that are publicly accessible. Like the planning grants, these are competitive grants for projects involving preservation, restoration, or rehabilitation construction activities. All work must meet the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties. The National Park Service created these standards to ensure appropriate construction work on historic properties. Keystone construction grants can be used for interior and exterior work, some site work, building systems, and accessibility improvements for people with disabilities. And the Keystone construction grants do not fund archaeological excavations, new construction, building additions, routine maintenance, landscaping of non-historic site improvements, pre-development work, or property acquisition.
Hello, I'm April France, and I coordinate our relatively new inspection program for properties with covenants. Currently, we hold more than 370 active covenants on historic properties, by which we mean either listed in or eligible for listing in the National Register. A preservation covenant is a legal document directing current and future owners to maintain the property in good condition and explaining that all physical changes must be appropriate, ensuring that the property retains its integrity. Most of our current covenants are associated with projects funded through the Keystone Grant Program. Our covenants direct owners to consult with SHPO staff about any proposed work, even after a project is completed, for a specified number of years, which can vary based on the type of grant, the type of project, and the property itself. We are proactively visiting properties with covenants to strengthen relationships with property owners, discuss their property's needs, and provide resources to assist them in continuing stewardship efforts, as well as updating our own documentation for each property.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Massey, and I am the Historic Tax Credit Reviewer. Historic tax credits are the most widely used historic preservation incentive program in the country. Pennsylvania has consistently ranked as a leader in the number of historic properties rehabilitated and total project investments each year. Two tax credits programs are available in Pennsylvania: the Federal Historic Tax Credit and the Pennsylvania Historic Preservation Tax Credit. The Federal Tax Credit Program was created in 1976 to encourage private investment in the reuse of historic buildings. Owners of income-producing properties can take a 20% dollar-to-dollar tax credit on federal income tax for eligible costs related to the rehab of historic properties for its new use. The credit, once received, is dispersed equally through a 5-year retention period. To be eligible for the 20% credit, properties must be listed in National Register of Historic Places or contribute to a National Register Historic District, be income producing, and use the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties to guide the planned rehab work. PA SHPO administers this program with the National Park Service and the IRS. Our role includes educating project owners, applicants, and consultants about the Historic Tax Credit Program, assisting applicants with the three-part application process, which includes photographs, drawings, and written descriptions, and providing project reviews to the National Park Service. Applicants can apply for the Federal Historic Tax Credit at any time over the course of a year. In 2012, Pennsylvania became the 30th state in the country to offer a state historic tax credit. The Pennsylvania Historic Preservation Tax Credit is an important economic development tool that benefits communities and fortunately was reauthorized in 2019 and extended to 2031. This tax credit is administered by the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development with assistance from the PA Department of Revenue and PA SHPO. Like the federal historic tax credit, the state credit uses a three-part application process that establishes the building status as a historic property, describes the work that will be done, and shows the work was completed as approved after construction is finished. Unlike the federal credit, the state credit has an open application period beginning October 1st, is capped at $5 million each state fiscal year, and credits are calculated at 25% of the total expenditures for no more than $500,000 awarded per project, and they are dispersed in one lump sum once projects are approved.
Hi everyone, I'm Allie Davis and I am the Historical Marker Coordinator. We've all seen the tall blue and gold markers along Pennsylvania's roadways. There's even one in Estonia and Eastern Europe. These iconic markers are history lessons, travelers' guideposts, tourist attractions, and sources of local pride. This popular program was started in 1946 and chronicles the people, places, events, and innovations that have affected the lives of Pennsylvanians over the centuries. The markers cover a variety of subjects, such as Native American history, early settlers, government leaders, athletes, artists, entertainers, struggle for freedom and equality, industries, businesses, and many other noteworthy topics. We encourage marker nominations for underrepresented subjects, specifically archaeology, people and events in counties other than Philadelphia, and the history of women, African Americans, Hispanics, Asian Americans, and LGBTQ+ people. We just released a new and improved searchable database and map of all 2,500+ markers on PHMC's website late last year. The PA SHPO works with people and communities across the Commonwealth to help identify eligible stories, prepare nominations, manufacture and install the markers, and plan dedication ceremonies. Every marker nomination is reviewed by a panel of independent experts in both academic and public history fields with geographic distribution across the state. PHMC assumes the costs for manufacturing and delivering approved markers. After their dedication, PHMC maintains each marker in perpetuity.
I'll wrap up the preservation incentives section with 2 ideas for how you can interact with these programs. First, share information about the Keystone Grant and Historic Tax Credit programs with your friends, neighbors, and municipal leaders. Find the information you need on our website, forward our monthly newsletter, or share PHMC's social media posts. Second, find a marker or go to a marker dedication. You can find our new search tool and an updated calendar on PHMC's website. And if you see a marker in need of a touch-up or some maintenance, please let us know.
Hi, I'm Noelle Stratton, and I serve as the head of MARS, our Mapping, Assistance, Resources, and Survey section. I also serve as PA Shares Administrator. The MARS section oversees PA SHPO's Historic and Archaeological Resource Survey programs, PAGS and PASS, manages PA Share and its companion mobile tool Surveyor, triages incoming projects, conducts initial project reviews, and assists users through the PA Share Help Desk and with general and targeted trainings. We are also the primary data stewards for the SHPO. MARS staff includes Elizabeth Schultz, our Pennsylvania Above Ground Survey Coordinator, Taylor Napoleon, our Pennsylvania Archaeological Site Survey Coordinator, John Godarsik, our PA Share Above Ground Triage Specialist, and Sarah Manley, our PA Share Archaeological Triage Specialist. Merrick Berg is our IT Project Manager for PA Share. Merrick helps ensure PA Share is working properly so that we can continue to do our jobs efficiently.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Schultz. I'm the Above Ground Survey Coordinator and the Above Ground contact for the Surveyor mobile app and other Surveyor tools. The PA SHPO manages 2 survey programs for recording historic places in Pennsylvania: the Pennsylvania Above Ground Survey, PAGS, and the Pennsylvania Archaeological Site Survey, PASS. Info collected through these survey programs is added to Pennsylvania's statewide inventory of resources. A resource could be a building, site, structure, object, or a historic district. This inventory is available online through PA Share. PAGS collects info about PA's meaningful places. In Pennsylvania, people are dedicating their time to photographing and documenting the places that they care about, and they are sharing their work with the PA SHPO. These places are mapped in PA Share, and various levels of this information can be accessed by everyone. The launch of PA Share's Surveyor app and tools in 2021 has made recording even easier.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Taylor Napoleon, and I'm the PASS coordinator. PASS is the PA SHPO's statewide inventory of more than 26,000 recorded archaeological sites, representing 16,000 years of Pennsylvania's history. Archaeological site information has been collected across Pennsylvania since the 1940s. The PA SHPO welcomes site information from everyone, including museums, historical societies, students, and collectors. Recording finds and their locations is an important step in learning about the past and protecting these important places. PASS is also a proactive survey program designed to help fill the gaps in Pennsylvania's archaeological record, giving us a more complete picture of the types of sites that exist in the state and how to identify and evaluate them.
Good afternoon. My name is Merrick Berg. I'm an IT project manager and I help administer PA Share. PA Share stands for Pennsylvania's State Historic and Archaeological Resource Exchange. SHPO's new online system combines many different record systems and processes them into one state-of-the-art application. PA Share combines a geographic information system platform and custom-built project management software to make it easier and faster for users to find information about historic places, archaeological sites, process project submissions, and use state and federal historic preservation programs. PA Share streamlines our end users' application and review processes with online submission forms, real-time updates, and project tracking. Interactive mapping allows users to pinpoint a specific place, define a project area, or draw boundaries.
My name is John Godarsik, and I am the Above Ground Triage Specialist. As Elizabeth and Taylor described, PA Share also includes a surveyor suite to conduct both above ground and archaeological surveys. It includes integrated desktop and mobile survey tools to ensure that the user's mobile data collection is always tied to a specific project, and resource data is smoothly imported into our inventory. The use of PA Share has resulted in improved efficiency for our staff and for the community the system was built for. For example, we now complete environmental review projects in just 7 days on average, compared to the 30 days typically allowed by law. Consultants are updated on their project status at every stage, from inception through closing. Cross-agency collaboration is also improved, and internally, our office has benefited from a significant savings in staff time. SHPOs in other states have taken notice, and several have contacted our office to ask questions or request demonstrations. We are also well into planning the next phase of PA Share. Lessons learned in the last 2 years will be incorporated and further our national leadership in digital resource and project management.
So, what can you do to help Mars? The number one way is to use PA Share and to promote its use to your partners and the public. If you need assistance in learning to use PA Share, please contact us at any time for training, either for yourself individually or for your section or for any of your partners. Submit resources that you see in your daily lives. As others have mentioned, our files have always been a record of what people choose to record, not every historic or archaeological resource in Pennsylvania. Often it is the best known properties in a community that are missing from our files because when everyone knows something, they all think someone else has reported it. This is especially true for demolitions. Updates on existing resources are always welcome, especially new photos. Maintaining data integrity is an ongoing process, but we cannot review every record. Please, if you see something you think is inaccurate in PA Share, let us know so we can fix it. Just send it to the resource account address that we are adding to the chat now. It's pashare@pa.gov. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And last but arguably not least, I'm Emma Deal, and I serve as the Division Manager for Environmental Review. Our division is responsible for advising and assisting federal and state agencies under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act and the Pennsylvania History Code. Like our MARS programs, we are divided into two sections, above ground and archaeology. Our above ground section consists of not only myself, but Tyra Guyton and Cheryl Nagel, who are managed by above ground section supervisor Barbara Frederick. The above ground reviewers are assigned by agency, and each of us work in tandem with our archaeological staff, who are assigned geographically based on watershed. Working from west to east, Kristen Walczewski oversees the western region, Justin McKeel handles the central region, and Casey Hansen, the archaeology section supervisor, reviews the eastern region. And Tina Weber provides support across the division for all sorts of our administrative needs. There's never a dull day in the ER division. We are not regulatory, but advisory, encouraging consideration of the effects that certain state or federally funded, permitted, and/or licensed activities will have on historic properties, including archaeological sites. Our work reaches every county within the Commonwealth, and in this role, we can wear many hats, from advisor to facilitator, from engineer to architect, and from mediator to therapist. Regardless, our work requires coordination across our PA SHPO divisions, from project initiation, which occurs with our PA Share triage staff, to identification of historic properties, which often requires consultation with our survey or National Register staff. We do get the opportunity to work with our tax credit and grant staff on concurrent reviews when their projects overlap with permitting and/or other funding sources. And finally, we oftentimes find ourselves working with our community coordinators to facilitate other preservation stakeholder engagements and meaningful mitigation when projects result in adverse effects to historic properties. And such collaboration is also the easiest way in which other PHMC staff can engage with our Environmental Review Division. In addition to working with the State Museum for Archaeological Curation and Assistance in Field Survey, particularly on state-owned property, we benefit from learning from our colleagues, particularly about state activities before we are notified from the actual agency, such as the archive staff giving us a heads up on planned state facility closures. Likewise, if you are made aware of particular individuals or organizations that express concern or an interest in a particular project suspected to have some sort of state or federal involvement, you can reach out to our division, as our ultimate goal for each and every project is to learn, advise, and ultimately collaborate to ensure meaningful and positive preservation outcomes.